Since I began exploring the ocean in the middle of the 20th century, the 1950s, more has been learned about the ocean than during all preceding history. But one of the things that we've learned is the magnitude of our ignorance. I mean, so far, with all of the technologies that exist, we can go to the moon, send probes to Mars, we're still having difficulty getting beneath the skin of the ocean. There are millions of scuba divers who have sort of lifted the lid on the ocean and just in a few decades changed the way people think about the ocean. But what's below? What's down there where it's dark all of the time? I mean, most of life on Earth lives in the dark, below 1,000 feet. And how many tools are there out there? How many little subs that can take people, anybody, down into the twilight zone where light and darkness converge, and then keep going into the depths below where the world is illuminated by bioluminescence, or the lights that you take with you. But now we have technologies that can go tried and true, safe, I mean really safe, thousands of dives in a handful of little submarines with a clear sphere of acrylic that make it possible to be like inside a fishbowl. You're on the inside, fish are on the outside. But to go to 1,000 meters, that's about the same depth that Beebe and Barton were able to go back in the 1930s. But they had a little tiny porthole to look through, to be able to take people, to take kids, to take CEOs of corporations, to take presidents of companies, to take anybody, everyone. And it's like getting into a taxi or getting into an airplane, safe enough to feel I can go 3,000 feet underwater, 1,000 meters, and to see things that no one has ever seen before. This is a never-never realm that a tiny fraction of human population who've ever lived have had a chance to go. And anyone right now in the 21st century who has a chance to go has the opportunity to make discoveries, to see things that even those who have been to that depth before would not see. I mean, it's like this is most of the world. Most of the world has not been seen by anybody. The deeper you go into the ocean, the less we know. It's the most exciting time to be alive, to be an explorer. You have a chance on every single dive to be a true explorer, to discover new things, new insights, new behaviors, and to bring back information that can make a difference for the world. That is the most exhilarating kind of discovery ever, that you have a chance to really make a difference. What you are able to get with the Explorer subs is the capacity to change lighting, to have the best cameras, to have the options to put different kinds of equipment on readily. So for scientists or for taking novices, anybody that you want to have safely, to take a child in a submarine. If you're happy about putting a child in a taxi cab or on an airplane, you should be even happier about the safety of a little sub, the Explorer subs at any rate, because they're fully classed, fully insurable. They've been documented, gone through the regimen of certification. So one of the joys of being associated with the Explorer project is that as a scientist, I have a unique platform to be able to go and document, to be able to go and document, and with sophisticated manipulator arms and the ability to selectively sample things that you want to know more. You need to take very gently and respectfully small samples to be able to explore and document them on the surface. But at the same time, you can take the president of an island nation into the depths below to see their blue backyard for themselves, not just looking at photographs, as important and wonderful as the photographs are, and we need lots of that. But to be able to experience it yourself in the presence of someone who's knowledgeable, and then to say, here's another aspect of the Explorer subs. You have a trained pilot, an experienced pilot with hours of knowing how to drive submarines. He's your backup guy. He's the one who launches the sub and recovers the sub. But once you're at depth, any of the three people, the pilot or passengers, can take the controls. For a photographer or for a kid, this is really special. To be able to say, I am in a submarine and I'm driving the submarine. I am the pilot. And if I want to go to the right, I take the joystick and I turn to the right. It's not a big deal. Even a scientist can do it, and so can a kid. And it doesn't take, a master diver trained pilot to drive the submarine. So simple that even a kid, even a scientist can do it. To be able to have two subs so that one can light a particular object in front of you. So you have buddy diving submarines, and you have instant backup with a second sub ready to be deployed should there be an issue. Or if you both want to share the experience of finding a giant squid, and both of you can be there in two subs, buddy diving subs, with three people in each one to share the joy of maybe getting to see a whale making one of their deep descents, or to see the little guys, the small things that fill the ocean with life, to be able to illuminate them and document them with the best camera technologies that are currently available or that will be available. The Explorer subs, rated to go to 1,000 meters, fully insured by the insuring agency, American Bureau of Shipping, ABS, to have that kind of security with a trained pilot, two passengers, and the passengers can be pilots. What's not to love about that approach? It's a unique access that currently does not exist. If we had a pair of little submarines, it's been my dream for a long time, and you could take me anywhere in the ocean, and I would be so pleased because I know I would see things that no one has ever seen before. But there are few places that seem to really stand out at this point in time because of the need to know what's out there. Two that are accessible from a shore-based operation where you can, there are a lot of places like this, but two, one, the Maldive Islands, this string of jewels that barely break the surface in the Indian Ocean. But they're like the tops of mountains that drop off into deep water that no one has had a chance to explore or document or know what's there except by putting hooks and nets and other devices into the ocean. This string of islands still is largely pristine. It's a haven for divers and for the creatures who live in the sea. But what is in the deep water that is a part of the system? You can't really say the waters around the Maldives if you stay at 100 or 200 feet. You need to go into as deep as you can go to see how it all ties together, to make those links between the dark waters below and all the creatures who live there and those that are in the coral reefs above. And you can operate from shore because deep water is so close to shore. From a dock, you can take a little submarine. You don't need a vessel, a boat to deploy in a place such as the Maldives. Imagine going to Sipadan, to be up here in the sunlit, sparkling surface, where you begin to descend through blue, shades of blue that get darker and deeper, and now you're in violet blue and then blue-black, and then even before it's completely dark, to see bioluminescence. This is a center of diversity, of life. And in the deep sea, below where sunlight shines, about 90% of the creatures have some form of bioluminescence. And to be able to go and experience it, to document it, to come back and share the view with cameras that for the first time are able to do just that, to share the view and take people down there themselves to see what it's like to fall into a galaxy of light and life. Two other places that will require ships, but imagine being able to dive in the Arctic. Imagine being able to dive along the ice edge and even under the ice edge in Antarctica. To go dive with the leopard seals. I mean, they would be so curious to know, what is that thing, this sphere with primates inside? You know you're going to see creatures coming down to look at you. You think you go down to look at them, but I know because it already happens with divers, but this is going to be something that will attract attention of penguins, of whoever lives in that area. Even the krill are likely to say, what is this thing? What is this glowing thing? And as you go deeper into the ocean, where light has never been brought before, I personally have experienced this in little submarines. Squid cannot resist light in the depths. They're just curious. They'll come and check you out. And fish, too. I've been more than 1,000 feet, 1,700 feet beneath the surface, 600 meters below the surface. And an ocean sunfish, you think of them as living up here, they come into the depths where it's nice and cold and dark. And here's a light in the bottom of the ocean. They want to know what's going on. I've been inspected by fish, even swordfish, that you think of as being up near the surface. We don't really understand what's down in the depths below. They aren't all just deep sea creatures that only stay in the deep. They're visitors that come from the sunlit surface all the way down into the depths. And to be able to understand those connections, to see the way no one has ever been able to see before, in places that no one has been able to go to before. That's the real essence of exploration, of making a difference, of illuminating what we don't know, to make the connections. Can't care if you don't know. This is all about knowing that can lead to caring.